Today, I want to share something most people overlook, something that quietly destroys dreams before they even begin. It's not lack of talent. It's not lack of resources. It's not even bad luck. It's the simple habit of telling everyone your plans. Yes, I'm serious. Think about it. How many times have you been excited about a new idea, a business plan, or a personal goal? And before even taking the first step, you rush to tell someone about it. Maybe you posted it on social media. Or, starting my new business. Wish me luck. For a moment, it feels thrilling. People cheer, some even encourage you, and you feel validated. But here's the trap. By talking too much, you give away the energy that should have been reserved for action. You trade execution for conversation. I know this mistake all too well, because when I was younger, I did the same. I would gather with friends and spend hours talking about what we would do. Start companies, change the world, become billionaires. It felt powerful to dream out loud. Yet over time, I noticed something strange. The more I spoke, the less I achieved. And that was the first lesson. Dreams don't need an audience. They need protection. When you tell everyone your plans, you invite too many voices into your journey. And not all voices are wise, supportive, or even genuine. Imagine cooking a dish, but allowing 100 chefs to throw in their own ingredients. Salt, sugar, spices, until the original recipe is ruined. That's exactly what happens when you let too many opinions shape your vision. Some people give advice without ever walking the path you're on. Others are too afraid of risk themselves and unknowingly project their fear onto you. And sadly, some don't even want you to succeed. They smile in front of you, but deep down, they doubt your ability. And their words plant seeds of hesitation in your heart. Are you sure? Or, that sounds risky, adds weight to your mind. Suddenly, you're not only battling your own fears, but also carrying the doubts of others. And here's the truth. Doubt is heavy. It slows you down. That's why silence becomes your ally. Protect your plans by keeping them close. Not everyone deserves to have access to the most fragile part of your journey, the beginning. There's another hidden danger in talking too much about your plans, the false sense of achievement. Picture this. You share an exciting idea with someone, and they say, "Wow, that's brilliant!" For a brief moment, it feels as though you've already accomplished something. That validation tricks your brain into thinking progress has been made, when in reality, nothing has happened yet. Instead of pouring energy into execution, you pour it into conversation. You go from being a doer to being a talker. And slowly, without realizing, your plans fade into the background. Talking can feel productive, but it's a dangerous illusion. It replaces effort with excitement, work with words. That's why so many ideas die before they even take form. Because their creators spent all their energy announcing instead of acting. Don't fall into this trap. Keep the fire inside you burning quietly. Use the energy of excitement to fuel work, not words. The moment you stop chasing validation and start building in silence is the moment your ideas finally get the chance to breathe. Some of you may wonder, but isn't sharing my plans a way to get feedback? Isn't advice helpful? And yes, guidance can be powerful, but only when it comes from the right sources. Not all advice is good advice. Sometimes the people you trust the most can unintentionally hold you back. They love you, but they see the world through their own fears, their own failures, their own limitations. They haven't walked in your shoes. They haven't carried your dreams, and they can't feel the fire that drives you. So how can they truly understand your vision? If you rely too heavily on their opinions, you risk shrinking your dreams to fit their perspective. I learned this the hard way. When I shared my ideas in the past, many dismissed them. That's too risky, they said. Maybe stick to something safer. And for a while, I listened. But then I realized the vision was mine, not theirs. Your vision is personal. It's unique. It doesn't need validation from everyone. Protect it. Think of your dreams like seeds. When you first plant them, they are fragile. If you dig them up every day to show people, the seed never grows. It dies before it can even sprout. But if you leave it in the soil, water it, and nurture it quietly, it will eventually become a strong tree that bears fruit for the world to see. Your dreams are no different. At the beginning, they need silence. They need patience. They need protection. Talking too much is like pulling the seed out of the soil. You expose it to the harshness of doubt, jealousy, and negativity. But when you keep it safe underground, nurtured by your effort, watered by your persistence, it grows in silence until one day it becomes undeniable. People won't need you to explain anymore. They'll see the results with their own eyes. Silence is the soil in which greatness grows. When I first started building Alibaba, the noise around me was overwhelming. Everyone seemed to have an opinion. Commerce in China. Chinese people prefer markets, not screens. Jack, you're wasting your time. If I had spent my energy defending my vision to every critic, I would have run out of energy to actually build it. Instead, I stayed quiet. I worked with my small team day and night. We ate instant noodles, slept in the office, and poured every ounce of energy into creating something that didn't yet exist. We didn't talk much. We didn't have time to. And that silence became our weapon. Because when Alibaba finally succeeded, the same people who doubted us were stunned. They asked, how did this happen? That's the beauty of quiet execution. You don't argue, you don't announce. You simply prove. Here's another uncomfortable truth: not everyone wants you to succeed. Jealousy is real. Some people might act like they support you, but deep down, they don't want to see you rise. Your success reminds them of what they haven't achieved, and that makes them uneasy. When you share your plans with such people, you unintentionally give them power over you. Their subtle doubts, their quiet discouragement, their hidden envy, it seeps into your mind and weakens your confidence. They don't even have to sabotage you actively. A single comment like, "Do you really think you can pull that off?" can echo in your head for days, making you question yourself. That's why silence protects not only your vision, but also your confidence. When people don't know your plans, they can't attack them. They can't poison them. And you remain free to move forward without carrying the weight of their hidden envy. Silence also frees you from the pressure of external accountability. Many people share their goals publicly because they believe it will keep them disciplined. If I tell everyone I'm starting this project, I'll be forced to follow through, they think. But here's the danger. Discipline built on fear of judgment is fragile. It makes you act from insecurity, not confidence. True accountability comes from within, not from the eyes of others. When you keep your plans private, you remove the pressure of performing for an audience. You give yourself space to experiment, to fail, to adjust. Mistakes become lessons instead of public embarrassments. And in that safe silence, you grow stronger. Don't mistake external accountability for internal discipline. The strongest discipline is the kind that no one sees. Failure, in fact, is an essential part of the journey. Every great vision goes through setbacks, mistakes, and struggles. But when you've told the world your plans, failure becomes harder to bear. Suddenly, you're not just dealing with your own disappointment. You're dealing with the embarrassment of others, knowing you fell short. That weight makes many people quit too soon. They give up not because they lack potential, but because they can't handle the shame of failing publicly. But when you keep your plans private, failure becomes easier to process. You can stumble, fall, and rise again without judgment. You can learn in silence and grow without the world watching. That freedom is priceless. Because in the end, failure isn't what destroys dreams. It's the fear of failing in front of others. Remove that fear, and you remove half the battle. At the end of the day, no one cares about your plans. They only care about your results. You can talk endlessly about what you're going to do, but if you don't deliver, it means nothing. That's why the most powerful people rarely announce. They reveal, they work quietly, and let their success speak for itself. When Alibaba became one of the world's largest e-commerce companies, people were shocked. They couldn't believe that a small team of dreamers had built something so massive. But by then, It was too late for criticism. The results spoke louder than any opinion. That's the secret. Stop talking, start doing. Silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. Another danger of sharing too much is that people begin to expect updates. Once you tell them, I'm starting this project, they will ask you every week, so how's it going? Instead of focusing on your progress, you now feel pressured to show results prematurely. If you haven't reached a milestone yet, their questions feel like judgment. You start rushing, making decisions not because they're right, but because you don't want to look like you're failing. That pressure bends your journey into shapes it was never meant to take. Great ideas need time. They need space to evolve without outside interference. But when you constantly announce your steps, you give people permission to measure your progress. And sometimes those measurements crush your spirit. Protect your ideas from premature expectations. Work in silence until the fruit is ripe, until the results are undeniable. Then, and only then, should you let the world see what you've built. Silence also creates mystery, and mystery is powerful. When people don't know what you're working on, they're curious. That curiosity becomes your advantage. Instead of draining your energy explaining yourself, you let your progress create anticipation. Imagine a stage before the curtain rises. The audience doesn't know what's behind it, but they're excited, expectant, ready to be amazed. That's what silence does for your life. It builds quiet anticipation until the moment you're ready to reveal. And when you finally step forward with results, the impact is far greater than if you had spoiled the surprise in advance. Talking dilutes the power of your reveal. Silence multiplies it. Don't waste your energy satisfying curiosity too early. Let the curtain stay closed. Let your mystery grow. Because when you finally unveil your work, it won't just be noticed. It will be unforgettable. One of the strongest reasons to stay silent is focus. Every time you explain your vision, you take energy away from execution. Words scatter your power, but focus gathers it. Success doesn't come from talking about 20 things. It comes from executing one thing relentlessly. Silence sharpens your focus like a blade. Without outside noise, you begin to hear your own thoughts clearly. You can refine your plan without distraction. You can test, fail, and adapt without the weight of external judgment. And that clarity is priceless. Too many people get lost in the voices of others, and they forget the voice inside themselves. But silence helps you reconnect with it. Your inner voice is your true compass. It knows where you need to go. The world will always try to drown it out with opinions, criticism, and doubt. Protect your compass. Protect your focus. Silence is how you do it. Let me tell you something about jealousy again. It's not always loud. Sometimes it hides in encouragement. People may say, "Wow, that's ambitious. I hope it works out for you." But the tone carries doubt, and the doubt seeps in. Other times, jealousy comes as subtle sabotage. Maybe someone delays helping you or discourages others from supporting you. Not because they're evil, but because your potential threatens them. By telling such people your plans, you hand them a weapon without realizing it. And once doubt enters your mind, it spreads quickly. But when you stay silent, you take away their weapon. They can't attack what they don't know. They can't sabotage what they can't see. Silence keeps your journey invisible until it's too strong to be stopped. And by then, their jealousy won't matter. Your results will be too powerful to deny. Silence also builds resilience. When you rely on outside praise to keep going, you're vulnerable. The moment that praise disappears, your motivation fades. But when you work in silence, you learn to fuel yourself. You build inner strength. You stop chasing applause and start chasing results. That resilience carries you through the toughest times. Those nights when nothing seems to work, when failure stares you in the face. If your motivation depends on others, you'll quit. But if it comes from within, you'll endure. And endurance is the difference between those who dream and those who achieve. Silence teaches you to trust yourself, to find power in your own belief instead of waiting for validation. It makes you unstoppable because once you no longer need approval, nothing can break you. Silence also saves you from overpromising. When you announce something too soon, you trap yourself in your own words. If plans change or take longer than expected, people think you failed, even if you're just adjusting. Quiet work gives you freedom to evolve without judgment. You can experiment, pivot, and refine until you're truly ready. Think of it like a sculptor chipping away at marble. They don't invite people in halfway to judge the rough shape. They wait until the statue is complete, then reveal it with pride. Your dreams deserve the same protection. Don't announce half-finished work. Build first, speak later. Another advantage of silence is efficiency. Every conversation about your plans takes time and energy. Every explanation drains focus. But when you keep quiet, all that energy is redirected to action. Instead of convincing others, you convince yourself through progress. Silence turns talk into momentum. And momentum, not motivation, is what builds success. Once you start moving, even small steps compound. That's when opportunities appear, not because you spoke about them, but because you worked toward them. Silence isn't just about hiding. It's about channeling every ounce of energy into execution. Silence protects your confidence. Confidence is fragile in the early stages of any plan. One careless comment can shatter it. But when you hold your vision close, you shield it from careless words. You allow your belief to grow strong before exposing it to the world. Confidence, like a flame, must be guarded against the wind. If you expose it too soon, it flickers out. But if you protect it, feed it, and let it burn brighter in silence, eventually no storm can put it out. That's why your best work often begins unseen. Protect the flame until it becomes a fire. When you're quiet, you also control the narrative. If you speak too early, people define your story for you. They label your idea as unrealistic, too risky, or even foolish. Those labels stick, and you spend more time fighting opinions than building. But when you reveal only results, the story is undeniable. Success tells its own tale. No one can argue with achievement. By staying silent, you remove the world's chance to define your vision. You write the story in your own way, at your own pace. And when you finally present it, there's no debate, only proof. Silence creates peace. In a noisy world where everyone is shouting about their goals, silence sets you apart. While others are busy announcing, you are busy advancing. That peace gives you clarity. It quiets the chaos of comparison. You stop worrying about who's ahead or who's behind because your focus is inward. And peace is powerful. It allows creativity to flourish, ideas to deepen, and execution to sharpen. Success doesn't come from constant noise. It comes from quiet, consistent effort. The calm of silence is often the birthplace of the loudest victories. Silence also builds patience. Announcing your plans creates urgency. You feel pressured to deliver fast, even if rushing harms the quality. But when you work quietly, you allow the process to unfold naturally. Patience gives birth to mastery. Every great achievement takes time, and silence gives you that time without outside pressure. Think of bamboo. It spends years growing roots underground before shooting up tall. If it announced itself too soon, it would collapse. Like bamboo, your dreams need deep unseen roots before they rise. Silence earns respect. People may ignore talk, but they cannot ignore results. Words fade quickly, but achievements echo. When you build in silence, you surprise people. They wonder how you did it. When you had time, how you kept going. That surprise creates admiration. The quiet worker is often underestimated, and that underestimation becomes an advantage. You don't need to tell people you're capable. Your work will prove it louder than any words ever could. Silence teaches humility. Talking about your plans can easily feed ego. You begin to enjoy the attention more than the work. But when you stay quiet, there is no applause, no spotlight, only effort. Humility keeps you grounded. It reminds you that success is earned, not promised. And when success comes, you appreciate it more because you know the struggle it took. Ego craves attention. Humility craves results. Silence keeps you on the right side of that balance. Silence prepares you for storms. Every journey has setbacks, financial struggles, failures, betrayals. If the world already knows your plans, those setbacks become public. People whisper, critics cheer, enemies laugh. But if you've kept your journey private, setbacks stay private too. You can rebuild quietly, recover in peace, and rise again without the extra weight of judgment. Silence makes your failures invisible and your comebacks unforgettable. That is a strength few understand, but those who do win quietly and last long. Now we return to the core lesson: silence is your superpower. Don't waste your energy announcing what you will do. Protect your vision, guard your confidence, and let your results do the talking. Every success story you admire was built in quiet struggle, long before the world noticed. So, as you move forward, resist the urge to seek validation. Stay focused, stay disciplined, build in silence, reveal in strength. And when your success finally speaks, it will silence every doubt. If this message resonates with you, carry it with you today. Protect your dreams, keep your plans to yourself, and let your actions write the story. Now tell me, will you choose noise or will you choose silence? The answer may decide your future.